Today's episode is sponsored by Google. This week on Basics, we're not just talking about the basics of corn dogs, we're talking security basics, but not of corn dogs, rather your personal information, which is important to ensure is kept safe online. That's why Google created their free password manager built right into your Google account. You can create, remember, and safely store unique, strong passwords for all of your online accounts. This helps protect your online privacy by making your personal information stay private to you. I'll show you more later, but for now, let's get down to basics. Alright, so we're going to be making 3 different kinds of corn dogs today, but they all have one thing in common: batter. And like most batters, we're going to start by combining the dry ingredients and wet ingredients separately and then bringing them together. For our classic corn dog, we're combining 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 cup fine cornmeal, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and a few twists of freshly ground black pepper. Tiny whisk until homogeneous, and then grab yourself another bowl for the liquids. 1 cup of whole milk, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 large egg, shell removed and discarded, and 1 tablespoon of honey. Tiny whisk these guys until homogeneous, and then it's time for the dry and the wet to get to know each other. Dump it on in and begin to administer a thorough paddling. We want a nice, loose, slightly lumpy, pancake batter-like texture, which, as you can see, I do not have, but that's not a problem. We can just add a 1/2 cup of milk until we reach our desired consistency. There we go, that's what we're looking for, maybe more like a waffle batter than a pancake batter. Then comes my favorite part of the day, the dog dip. Go ahead and pour your batter into a tall Collins glass, and if you're a father of any kind, you should pretend to drink the batter out of the glass to the delight of your children. Pat your hot dogs dry with some paper towels and retrieve your skewers, upon which we shall impale our hot dogs. This is a simple enough process. You're basically just shoving one thing into another thing, leaving a little of the first thing sticking out. And then I'm going to give these guys a roll in cornstarch. This, of course, not only looks hilarious, it's going to help dry out the exteriors of the hot dogs and help the batter adhere during the frying process. Once you've gotten all that icky hot dog cornstarch off your hands, it's time to dip. And now you might understand why we used a Collins glass. It's the best and most efficient way to cover the dog evenly and without any dramas. Once dipped, it's headed straight into a vat of 375° Fahrenheit peanut oil. Peanut is my deep frying oil of choice, but if you're allergic, you can use canola, vegetable, any of the deep frying heavy hitters. Gently lower them into the oil and let them go for 3 to 4 minutes. And when you inevitably try and fail to flip them over, you can just sort of hold them down to make sure that they brown evenly. Then we're going to drain them on paper towels, which is going to help soak up excess oil and keep them from getting soggy. Let them cool for about 5 minutes if you at all value the sanctity of your mouth. Maybe try to hold them up like a bouquet or Wolverine claws. Doesn't really work too well. Stack them into an attractive pyramidal shape and serve with mustard and ketchup. And there you have it, the corn dog. Processed meat stuffed into a tube, battered and deep fried. An American dynasty. The batter has a light, fluffy interior and crispy exterior, a distinct corny flavor, and a hint of sweetness. And the hot dog is positively dripping with hot dog flavor. This one will take you right back to the county fairs of your childhood, but what about a spin on the formula? How about a corn dog for breakfast? I have here a bunch of commercially available breakfast sausages, which I'm going to fully cook according to manufacturer's specifications and allow to cool completely. And then for the batter, I'm thinking what's essentially going to be a pancake batter. I got 1 3/4 cups all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cornmeal, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, tiny whisked until homogeneous. For the liquids, I got 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk, 1 somewhat explosive egg, a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Now tiny whisk that until homogeneous and add the dry stuff. And just like your dad said on Sunday morning, you don't want to overmix your pancake batter, son. Remember, bud, nobody likes a tough flapjack. Again, we want a thick pancake batter-like consistency, so adjust as necessary with milk. Then it's pretty much the same procedure as before. Skewer your meat tubes. Oop, hang on a second, almost forgot the butter. We want to add 2 tablespoons of melted, cooled butter to our pancake batter. There we go. Now just pretend that I did that before. Into a glass it goes, and these are pretty small sausages, so this should work just fine. Roll your sausages in cornmeal, shaking off the excess before dipping, entirely ensconcing in a layer of pancake batter. Deep fry at 375° Fahrenheit for 3 to 4 minutes until deeply golden brown. Drain on paper towels. Allow to cool for at least 5 minutes before serving proudly with jam and maple syrup. There you have it, a delicious, practical, and portable way to maximize your calorie count every morning. It's sweet, it's savory, it's breakfast in a bite. And this got me thinking, how could the corn dog model be applied to other meals and cuisines? And it didn't take long for me to have an epiphany. Merguez lamb sausage dipped in a falafel-style batter. If your merguez is not cooked, you're once again going to need to cook it till it registers 155, 165 degrees Fahrenheit internally. While those cool completely, I'm going to make us a little dipping sauce. In a small bowl, we're going to combine half a cup of Greek yogurt and the juice of half of 1 lemon, along with a quarter cup of tahini and about 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Season to taste with kosher salt and freshly ground pepper, tiny whisk to combine, and there you have it, a quick, easy, delicious dipping sauce for our dogs. Now onto the batter. First up, well, since we're just making this for ourselves, we can adhere to the 5-second rule. We're going to roughly chop 1 clove of garlic and toss it into the bowl of a food processor, along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about a half cup of packed parsley leaves. Go ahead and process those together until pretty finely chopped. Then we're going to add 1 cup of canned chickpeas, rinsed and drained. Then go ahead and pulse that together, scraping down the sides occasionally until it's relatively smooth. We want a nice thick paste with visible flecks of herbs. Then in a large bowl, we are combining 1 cup of buttermilk and 1 large egg, tiny whisking until homogeneous, and then adding the paste. Whisk that together until homogeneous, and then last but not least, it's time for the dry stuff. We are combining 1.5 cups chickpea flour, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, a half teaspoon of cumin, a half teaspoon of Aleppo pepper, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Tiny whisking until homogeneous, and then adding to the wet stuff, gently paddling together until it resembles a thick pancake batter. Sticking a skewer into our merguez sausages, rolling them around in cornstarch, shaking off the excess, dipping in batter, deep frying at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 to 4 minutes until deeply golden brown. Draining on paper towels and allowing to cool for 5 minutes before lining up proudly next to our lemon tahini yogurt dipping sauce. And with that, it's time to enjoy. And with that, I can proudly announce that all the corn dogs made today turned out really good. This one's got the pleasant, spicy funk of lamb sausage and the crunchy falafel-like exterior. And if we call this one dinner, I think we've got all 3 meals covered by corn dogs. Thank you again to Google for sponsoring today's episode. Like I mentioned before, Google has developed great tools to help protect your privacy. The Password Manager helps you create unique, secure passwords for each site, and it saves it to your Google account, so the next time you log in, it autofills for you. You can then review and manage all of those saved passwords in one place, and Google will alert you if any of your saved passwords have been compromised. All of these features from Google help keep you safe online. For more info, head to the link in the video description.